This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, just a quick recap of what we have done in our last session, and then we will start a new topic. So we have completed 2 sessions till now. In our first session, we understood what exactly is SAP. Okay, what is the full form? What is the history of SAP? What are the different ERP products? Why do we need ERP at all? Okay, and then who are the competitors? What is the basic difference between the other ERP vendors and SAP? And then we also understood what are the different products from SAP throughout these years. So since SAP started maybe around 30 years back, during these 30 years, what were the different, sorry, not 30 years, it is more than 50 years now, or maybe around 50 years. So in this 50 years, what SAP has came up with, what are the different products that they came up with, and where exactly are we today? Okay, we also understood in our last session what is the basic difference between the ECC and SAP S4 HANA system. First of all, why it is called as SAP S4 HANA, what exactly HANA stands for, okay, what is the new user interface in terms of Fiori. So those are some of the things that we discussed in our last session. We understood that HANA is, okay, maybe let's start from there itself. Can you tell me the difference between HANA, S4 HANA, and Fiori? Can you tell me one line each? What is HANA, what is S4 HANA, and what is Fiori?
HANA is a database, new database from SAP. S4
Okay,
HANA is an
yeah,
next
sorry,
edition of ECC which runs on HANA. Fiori is the new interface which can be accessed by any of the what do you call our like mobile PC or anywhere, like geographically from anywhere we can access even without installing the uh, basic desktop software from SAP.
100%, yes. So the basic difference between HANA and S4 HANA is a database. Okay, HANA is a database which is, or you, as you said, HANA is a new database from SAP. This is not something which is from other ERP or other vendor. This HANA database is SAP's own database. That is the reason HANA is a new database from SAP itself. Number two, you said SAP S4 HANA is an application. Okay, so you remember those R3: presentation layer, application layer, database layer. So HANA is a database layer. S4 HANA is an application. SAP S4 HANA is an application. Again,
Running on HANA.
exactly, that is very important, which runs only on HANA database. I cannot run SAP S4 HANA application on third-party databases. SAP ECC, it was possible. SAP ECC can run on third-party databases also, but when it comes to SAP S4 HANA, it will only run on HANA database. And number three, Fiori is a presentation layer, you can say, is a presentation layer. In the bracket, I'm writing new user interface. Again, developed from SAP. Okay, so I think we already discussed in our last session that I can use HANA with my ECC system also. Okay, and even I can use Fiori with my ECC system also. But again, even if I'm using Fiori with my old SAP ECC system, around 2 to 5% of the applications only I can use. I cannot use all the applications which are available on SAP S4 HANA in my ECC system also. So although technically, yes, Fiori is available for my ECC system also, but when it comes to practically, only 2 to 5% of the applications, not more than that. right? So that is the basic difference between these three things. This is very common whenever you go, wherever you go. This is always a confusion. Okay, what is HANA? What is the difference between? Many times customers will also use these terms interchangeably. Okay, they mean to say S4 HANA, but they will say we are implementing HANA. What does it mean when you are saying we are implementing HANA? Is it S4 HANA or is it a HANA database? This is very important to understand. So that is the reason this differences should be very clear in your mind. Okay, so now from day one, we are talking about HANA database. We are talking about HANA is faster compared to the other ERP or other databases which were available previously. So the question is how HANA is faster, or you can say how, or you can say why. We know HANA is faster. From day one, we are listening. If you even go to Google, what is HANA? You will understand that HANA is faster compared to the third-party databases that SAP was using previously. But how is it possible to create a database which is faster? What are the things which are taken care by SAP in order to make HANA faster? Any idea? Have you heard anything about HANA? If you just write in Google, what
In
is HANA?
memory.
Exactly. If you write in Google just HANA, the first thing that you will get is in memory. Okay. Anything else? I'll explain all these points. I'm just noting down as of now, and then we will discuss in detail what exactly do you mean by in memory. Anything else that you have heard? Just go to Google and try to find out what are the.
Row and column something.
So HANA is column
There is a
based.
column wise, yes.
Right. Number two is column based. What else you are able to get in Google when you try for HANA? HANA is in memory. It is column based data storage. Are you able to see multi-core processors? Okay, third one is multi-core processors. Number fourth is powerful calculation engine. Okay, these are some of the terminologies that you will be able to see when you search for what exactly is HANA. Okay, so as of now, I'm writing this code. Let's see if there is anything, if you wanted to add, we will add it. So what do you mean by in memory? Any idea? What do you mean by in memory? HANA is an in memory database, but what exactly is in memory? Okay, let me ask you another question. You may have heard about database concepts. Okay, if possible, maybe during your college days or maybe wherever you may have heard about it. What are the two types of memories in your computer, in your laptop, in your mobile devices? There are two kinds of memories. What are those?
RAM and ROM.
RAM and hard.
RAM and ROM, right?
RAM.
This is very common. There are two types of memories, or two types of storage devices, you can say. Two types of memory storages. Okay, number one is RAM and number two is ROM. What exactly is the difference between RAM and ROM? RAM is, why do I need RAM? Why do I need ROM?
RAM is random access memory. ROM is hard disk.
Okay, yeah, full form is okay. Random access memory, and this is read-only memory, which is normally used for hard disk. But why exactly do I need RAM? Why do I need ROM? Why do I need the hard disk in my computer? And why do I need the RAM in my computer? What will happen if I don't have RAM in my computer?
Everything will have to be hit on the hard disk and so it will be slow, the extraction.
But is it possible that everything is on the hard disk? Is hard disk responsible for processing the transactions, or it is just responsible for storing the transaction?
Both.
Normally, this RAM device is responsible for processing your transactions. So whatever you are telling the computer to do, ultimately it is RAM who is taking your list and he is processing the transaction in the background. Once the transaction is processed, if you want to store some data in the hard disk, then ROM comes into the picture, right? So if you take a simple example, when you go to buy the mobile device, okay, what you see that how much RAM it is having and how much secondary storage it is having, how much storage. More storage means you will be able to save more songs, more images, more videos. Okay, more RAM means what? Your mobile will run faster, right? So processing comes under RAM and storage comes under ROM. These are two important things to understand. RAM is to process your transactions and ROM is to store your transactions. So what was happening till now in all the databases that were being used by SAP throughout these years, Oracle, DB2, Sybase, Microsoft SQL, all these databases were following the same thing. RAM was only used to process the data and ROM was used to store the data. Now, in order to make this faster, in order to make the new database which runs faster, SAP introduced something called as, I'll not say SAP introduced because this was already being developed by other database vendors also, but they are very small and that is the reason they are not so popular. But in-memory was already available in the market when SAP came up with in-memory database. So it would be wrong to say that SAP has introduced in-memory. We can say SAP HANA uses in-memory database. So what exactly is in-memory? In-memory means RAM will not be only used to process the data, but RAM will also store the data. So if you are talking about Oracle, if you are talking about SQL Server, if you are talking about the old databases, RAM was only used to process the data and ROM was used to store the data. Now with HANA, even RAM has a capability to store and process the data. So processing the data as well as storing the data would be possible within RAM itself. That is called as in-memory computing. And how it will help? See, what happens is, if I give you the simple example, let's assume you are doing the transaction. You are the user. You are booking the ticket. Okay, as a user, I want to book a ticket. Now, who will process this request? If it is a computer, it is a server. First of all, it will go to RAM. RAM will take your request and it will start processing it. Now, once the request is processed, once the data is saved, it needs to go to ROM to store that data. Right? This is booking the ticket. Number two, let's take an example of printing the ticket or canceling the ticket. Now, when you want to cancel the ticket, this ticket is already booked. It is already there in the database. Right? So RAM will come into the picture. What RAM will do? First of all, RAM will take your request to show you all those tickets that you booked. RAM will go to ROM to find out which tickets are booked by this person, right? It will pick the data from ROM and again the further processing will be carried out in RAM. So what happens is whenever you are doing any transaction on your laptop, on your computer, on your mobile device, every time there is a lot of activities which are done between RAM and ROM. So RAM will process the data and it will be stored in the hard disk. RAM will process the data, it will be extracted from the hard disk, and again it would be processed by the RAM. So there are a lot of places where many times we need to uh, go between RAM and ROM, again RAM. So that is the reason there is a lot of time consumed to transfer the control from RAM to ROM and from ROM to RAM again. One more thing you must have heard, RAM is 1,000 times faster than ROM. So if I'm processing this data, my RAM is getting control to ROM. Once it is going to ROM, it will take a lot of time to extract the data. And again, once the data is extracted, it will come to RAM. So there is a lot of time wasted to move from RAM to ROM, again from ROM to RAM, and that too, ROM is not having sufficient, we can say, the speed, and that is the reason it takes a lot of time to process the data, to book any new transaction, or to display the existing transaction. So what is the solution? What SAP said is, let's remove this from the picture. Okay, I'm not saying the hard disk is not available in SAP HANA. I will come to that point, but what is going to happen now is this control may not be required. When you are booking the ticket, RAM itself will process the data and data will be stored in RAM itself. When you are canceling the ticket, again the RAM will process the data and the data will be extracted from the RAM itself. So your transaction processing and your execution will become faster because you are no more dependent on ROM for each and every transaction, right? That is the reason it is called as in-memory computing. In-memory computing means instead of storing the data in ROM, we will store the data directly in RAM. So I'm just removing all these things. I hope you understood this. Let me write exact meaning of in-memory computing. Processing, maybe processing you already know, it is always RAM. So data is stored directly in RAM rather than, or maybe rather than is also not required. So just remember this thing. Data is stored directly in RAM. In the previous databases, which are not in-memory databases, data is getting stored in ROM, but when it comes to SAP HANA, or when it comes to in-memory capability of SAP HANA, data is directly stored in RAM. Just one liner is enough. If someone is asking you why HANA is faster, HANA is faster because it uses in-memory computing. Okay, what do you mean by in-memory computing? In-memory computing means instead of storing the data in the hard disk, which is used by the traditional databases, SAP HANA can store the data directly in RAM. Now the second question will come. Any idea? Do you think that storing the data in RAM is risky? Again, this is something which you might have heard
Yes.
in your college days. Yeah.
Mm, uh, so my system should always be on for the data to be in RAM, isn't it? Like if any power failures, data stored in RAM may be lost. This is
Exactly.
what I feel.
Exactly. Yes. So that is a problem. That is the reason why the older databases, they were not storing the data in RAM. That is the reason RAM was only used to process the data. The problem is RAM is a temporary memory. Again, you must have heard in your school college days. RAM memory is a temporary memory, which means it will only remain in the temporary memory till the time your PC, your laptop, your mobile device is on. Once your device is off, if in case of any power failure, all the data which was there in RAM will get vanished, right? So that is something which is a challenge. If I'm saying my data will be stored in RAM, it is very risky. If the power goes off, then I will not be able to access my data. Okay, so what is the solution for this? Solution for this is SAP HANA already takes care of it. So there is, again, I'm just introducing the technical terms just to make you understand that there is no problem even if the power goes off. It has been taken care by SAP HANA. So may not be, you don't need to go to the each and every technicality of how SAP HANA works, because you are going to be the functional consultants, not the technical ones. Okay, and that is the reason, just remember, there is something called as cache memory in the background, and what exactly this cache memory will do is immediately as soon as the transaction is posted in RAM, in the background, it will take the data from RAM and it will store in ROM also. And that is the reason I told you, I'm not saying that ROM is not available. ROM is also available, but ROM will have a copy of the data so that if power goes off, I have something in the database in the ROM. Okay, but otherwise, my first point where the data will be stored is RAM. And backup is also stored in ROM. Earlier, what was happening? Everything was getting stored in ROM. It was not RAM and ROM both. But now the data will be stored in RAM as well as in ROM. The reason for storing the data in ROM is to avoid the risk of storing the data only in RAM. So if the power goes off, what will happen? There will not be any data in RAM, but I can still go to ROM and pick the data. And as soon as the power comes back, okay, again, you don't need to worry. You don't need to go to ROM. Automatically, HANA is developed in such a way that automatically it will pick the data from ROM and again it will be available in RAM. So just remember this thing, otherwise it will become too complicated, it will become too technical. Just remember this thing, that it has been taken care by SAP, that even if the power goes off, you will not lose any data. Okay, because this question can come. If you tell the customer that now SAP HANA is going to store the data directly in RAM, so definitely they will ask you the question, RAM is a temporary memory. How can you store the data in that? So the answer is, it has been taken care by SAP. The copy of the data, whatever is going to be stored in RAM, is also going to be stored in ROM also. If the power goes off, no need to worry. Data is still secure. As soon as the power comes, again the data will be available in your RAM device also. Okay, and that is the reason when we are talking about all the data will be stored in RAM, what is the minimum requirement? We need good amount of RAM. When you are implementing SAP HANA database, you definitely need more RAM compared to what RAM you were using in the traditional database, because you are trying to store the data. Earlier, RAM was only used to process the data. Now you will be storing the data also in RAM, and that is the reason your RAM size should be good enough to accommodate that data. Now it totally depends upon you how much data you want to store on RAM. That also you can control as a customer. If I am a customer, if I'm implementing SAP, I can decide what data I want to store in RAM. So normally we don't store all the data in RAM. We only store that data which is important for day-to-day transactions. For example, if you go to the company, any company, and if they have 10 years of data, if they are using SAP from last 10 years, right? I don't need to keep all the 10 year of data in the RAM also. It will unnecessarily, I need to pay more because RAM is costly. So what should I do? I should only keep the data for last 1 or 2 years, which is required by me to generate my reports. In ROM, all the 10 years of data would be available. But in RAM, I will only keep that data which I need to perform my transactions faster. Okay, so this is one of the very important thing that you need to remember. Whenever you hear a term HANA, I think we already discussed what exactly is the full form of HANA in the last session. So it is high performance analytical appliance. Name itself is saying it is high performance. High performance means it is faster, it will give you better results. How it will give you the better results? Because it is using in-memory computing. Because it has a capability to store the data directly in RAM, which was not possible previously. Okay, any question on this? Have you understood in-memory computing now?
In that case, I can call HANA as a hybrid database because it is both in memory as well as ROM based.
No, there is nothing called as a hybrid database. So maybe, see, hybrid is a general English terminology you can use anywhere. But otherwise, from the technical point of view, nobody calls HANA as a hybrid database.
Because technically, as you mentioned here, I cannot even say in-memory database. It's like in-memory computing database. That's the right word, I feel so. Like if I'm
No,
wrong, please
normally
correct me.
call it as in-memory computing, but it is completely fine if you say HANA is an in-memory database. That is also fine. You got it, Nagesh?
Yeah, understood. Like, but what I feel in-memory computing database and in-memory database, because in-memory databases will not have a ROM at all, right? I mean,
No.
generally speaking.
No. In memory is in memory. Don't get confused with this word. In memory computing they normally use, but even if I write this, the definition will remain same.
In memory DB. Okay. Fine.
Yes. Right. Okay. Coming to the second point, which is column-based data storage. Now this is very, very, very technical. Okay, and as I told you, we are all functional consultants. We will not go into details of all these things, but let me just tell you, see what happens is, whenever we say a database, how the database stores the data in the background? Any idea how the data is stored in the background? In the table, if you go to any table and see how the data is stored,
The rows
let's
and
talk,
columns.
yeah, let's talk about, yeah, exactly, sir. So let's talk about the Excel. So this is my Excel file. If I open my Excel file, it will show me some rows and it will show me some columns. Right, very straightforward. If you open any Excel, Excel is also the database. What you are doing in Excel, you are entering the details. For example, you are entering sales details, you are entering purchase details. Okay, you are entering the details of the employees, you are entering the details of the students. So if you want to create a record, let's say I want to store this information student wise. I want to know the student ID, I want to know the student name, I want to know the module they registered for, I want to know the what exactly is their background. If I want to store all this information, what I'll do, I'll just create Excel. This will be my columns, and each and every row will contain the detail of each and every student, right? So that part, when we are talking about that important part of storing the data in the table, the data in the table or in the database is always stored in rows and columns. Let me try to show you here. So this is a table. You can see tables looks like this. Okay, let's assume this is our table. See what is happening in this table is, this is my column. You can see A, column number A, column number B, column number C, column number D. Okay, let's take the same example that I gave you. Student ID, student name, module, education background. These are the details that I want to capture in my database. So what I'll do, student ID 1, student ID 2, student ID 3, student ID 4. Okay, so name, let's say A, B, C, D. I'm just writing the information here. Okay, module, let's say FICO, MM, SD, again SD. Education background can be BCom, this can be MBA, this can be BBA, and this can be BE. Right, so this is the data which I captured in the table. Now, if you see this table, these are called as columns, and these are called as, when I say this, matlab, the student ID, name, module, education background. So each and every, this one, this complete A is one column, complete B is one column, complete C is one column, and complete D is one column. When it comes to the rows, these are my rows. This is my row number 1, this is my row number 2, this is my row number 3, and this is my row number 4. So when we talk about the table, when we talk about the database, normally we are able to see the data in the form of rows and columns. It is a combination of rows and columns. But internally within the database internally, you know, it is stored in the binary form, zeros and ones, right? So those data, they are not stored in the tabular format in the database. In the database, they are either stored in this form, in the column-based form, or they are stored in the row-based form. Okay, as I told you, even if you ask this to the technical consultant, he may not be able to explain you very clearly, because this is something which is happening internally in the system. You will not be able to see how exactly it is working. But just to understand what are the benefits, what we need to understand is, when we go for column-based data storage, what would be the benefit? So all previous databases, we are storing the data in row-based form. Previously, all the databases, they were storing the data in the row-based form. HANA can store the data in column-based also. When I say also, what does it mean? It means row plus column. It is not only column. HANA can store the data in row as well as column. Now, what is the benefit? The benefit is column-based data storage results in faster performance, faster query performance, faster reporting, you can say. You'll be able to generate your faster reportings. Number one. Number two, also column-based data is stored in compressed form. What do you mean by compressed form? Simple, I tell you one thing. You have a mobile device and you have, let's say, 64 GB of memory. Okay. Now, out of that 64 GB of memory, you already reached 62 GB and your mobile device has become slow. Okay, very common. You have 64 GB of memory, there are a lot of videos, there are a lot of songs, and now you are again and again getting the messages that your memory is going to, your memory is too low and you have to delete some of the stuff that you don't need on your device, right? This is very common. So what you will do, if it is a case of your mobile device, maybe there are a lot of songs, there are a lot of videos that you would delete and you will save some memory. But when it comes to the companies, they are not storing the songs and the images and the videos on their database, right? They have very important data that they have stored. So if their memory is short, what exactly they have to do? They may need to do the archiving. Okay, again, it is a technical term. Archiving means kind of they will take the data from that database and they will store somewhere else. Okay, so for example, in your laptop device, there are a lot of important information, but your memory is low. So what you will do? You will buy the hard disk, you will transfer the important data in the hard disk, and then again your laptop device would work faster. So you have the backup in your hard disk. And that is exactly what is archiving. Archiving means you can take the data in some other device so that your actual system works faster. So this is very common in the industry that many companies who are using SAP, they need to do archiving again and again. They need to do the archiving maybe every 6 months, every 1 year, so that they can remove the older data and their system is working faster. But if you implement column-based data storage, if you implement HANA database, one good thing is you can compress the data. The data is stored in the compressed form, which means, again, taking the same mobile example, you have 64 GB of memory and out of which you already consumed 62. Now, instead of deleting the songs, instead of deleting the photos, videos, if I give you the option that go to this mobile application, it will compress the data in your mobile device. So your 62 GB of data, let's assume it will become only 12 or 15 GB of data. So what will happen? Your data is not going anywhere outside. The data is still there in your mobile device, but it is getting stored in the compressed form. And if it is getting stored in the compressed form, number one, you will be able to save more data, right? And number two, your performance, your mobile performance, because you are only using 15 GB of 64 GB data that is supported in your mobile device. So your performance of the mobile will again become fast. Same goes for SAP HANA database. Let's assume a customer is using 1 TB of data. The database size is 1 TB, out of which customer has already utilized 800 GB of data in the older database. So obviously the performance would be slow because already 80% of the consumption of the database has been done. So if a customer implements SAP HANA here, that 800 GB of data will automatically become, just assume, around 250 to 300 GB of data. which means only 25 to 30% of the data would be left. Still, we have not deleted any data. All the data is available in the system. So performance wise, you are getting more performance, faster performance, and storage wise, you are able to store more data. So that is the benefit of storing the data in the form of columns. In the row-based data format, it was not possible to store the data in the compressed form. In the column-based data storage, you can compress the data, which will reduce your database size, plus it will improve the performance of your reports. Clear on column-based? Any questions? Have you understood what is the difference between row-based and column-based? Just remember one difference. Row-based data doesn't support compression. Column-based data supports compression. If the data is stored in the compressed form, you will be able to store more data. And obviously, if the data is stored in the compressed form, your performance would be faster. Clear? Any questions?
I have a question. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned, storage results is faster reporting. How about inserting?
Inserting
Both it will
also.
be faster. Okay.
Yeah. So normally, this column-based data storage, the reason for faster reporting, the reason is because you are trying to extract the data. Let's assume, if I just give this example, what do you mean by faster reporting? Faster reporting means data is already available in the system and you are just trying to extract that data. So if you try to extract the data from only 200 GB of data, it would be faster compared to extracting the data which is 800 GB, right? So automatically system will work faster when it comes to doing the reporting. Clear?
That means like even the new transactions or any data newly inserted will also go directly in the compressed form, if I'm not wrong.
Definitely.
Is that correct?
So that actually depends, because as I told you, HANA supports both row as well as column-based data storage. So when it comes to the standard SAP tables, when it comes to the standard business processes, most of the tables are now supporting column-based data storage. Let me show you something practically in the system also. So although we have not done anything in the system till now, but at least you will get a feel how exactly it will look like. See, all the standard SAP tables, they are already storing the data in the column-based form because they are already using HANA database, right? But when it comes to the new tables that you will create, if required, for that there is an option. So if I want to check the any table in SAP, I will go to transaction SE11 or SE69. These are the two transactions which I can use. So if I go to SE11 and let's say I want to show you how the data will be stored in table BKPF. Okay, don't worry about what is BKPF and all. I just want to show you. So here, if I go to the technical settings and database specific properties, you can see column store, row store, undefined. Undefined means by default it will take the whatever is default set up by the system. So whenever you are creating a new table on your own, this is a standard table. So as I told you, all these standard tables which are part of SAP, they are changed to store the data in the column-based form. But if you are creating a new table, you have a choice whether you want to create a new table as a row or a column-based. So if you are selecting the table as column store, then the compression will come automatically. But if you are creating a table with row-based storage, then the compression will not take place. Clear?
What is the third option for?
Sorry?
What is this third option?
Third option is undefined. So undefined means based on, see, undefined will not be available for the new tables that you are going to create. Undefined is by default whatever is provided by SAP table to table. So in SAP, whenever the standard tables are created, SAP either provides it in the column-based form or in the row store form. So normally this undefined is not used. It is either column or row.
Okay.
Yeah. Undefined, see, undefined is only applicable for non-HANA databases, because obviously non-HANA databases, there is no choice. Everything will go to the row store. Clear?
Irrespective of my storage, whether it is in column or row, my queries will be the same like our regular SQL queries.
Exactly. There will not be any change. Even as I told you, even if you go to SE11 or SE16N, you will not be able to see how the data is getting stored in the background. That is all in the binary form, you know, right? You will not be able to see that 0 and 1s, how they are actually getting stored in the database. So whatever we are discussing, this is all technical within the system. But outside the system, it will not make any difference whether you are storing the data in row or column. So as a user, as a functional consultant, I definitely don't need to worry how exactly the data is getting stored. Only thing is I'm getting benefited of column-based data storage because I'm getting faster results. Okay. Coming to the third point, multi-core processors. I think this is very common nowadays. Even when you buy a laptop, you want to buy i7, you want to buy, you definitely know the difference between i5 and i7. What is the difference? Definitely the core. How many cores are there? How many dual core? Nowadays, you can see there are 3 core systems available within the one laptop itself. So quadra core, what exactly are this? So this is normally the new technology. So instead of talking about what is multi-core processors, I will give you a simple idea what exactly it means. SAP HANA uses latest technology available in the market. So multi-core processors, RAM, faster RAM, maybe you need the advanced RAM components, and that is the reason SAP, if you want to use SAP HANA, you have to buy the certified hardware. So SAP HANA uses latest technology, and there are few certified vendors who provide this hardware. So it is not like I went to market and I bought the server for HANA. If you want to implement SAP HANA in your system, you have to buy the servers which are licensed, which are certified by SAP. So for example, HP, Dell, Fujitsu, these are some examples. IBM, these are some examples of the systems which are supported by SAP HANA. So SAP has already certified this vendors. SAP has already certified these vendors because they are capable of developing this hardware. How much RAM is required, how much multi-core processors are required. All those things are already provided by SAP, and based on that, they have certified that, okay, these are the vendors who are actually providing that system. Again, it is not within HP. I'm not saying all the systems from HP are supported. All the servers from HP are supported. So even if you go to SAP site and if you try to see which systems are certified, so it will provide you the option that if you go for HP, it will give you the list of all those servers which are certified. So if HP is building 100 servers, it is not necessary that all the 100 servers will be certified for SAP. Only few, 20, 30 of those servers which are having those advanced components, only those servers are certified. So just remember, SAP HANA uses advanced hardware, advanced, you can say latest technologies, and this advanced technology is certified only for few hardware providers, server providers. Okay, there is nothing else to remember here. Let's come to the powerful calculation engine. Now, what do you mean by calculation? See, I shown you the table here. Okay, maybe if I add another column here, let's say I want to know the marks. Okay, student number 1, how much marks he gathered, student number 2, how much marks, student number 3, how much marks, and at the end of the 4 rows here, I want to see the total. What were the total number of marks that were obtained by the students? Or maybe let's talk a practical scenario. Let's say this is my inventory table. So I'm showing you at plant number A, okay, this material is having this much quantity. In plant number B, same material is having this much quantity, and I want to know at the end of the day how much is the total quantity available in my stock, including all the plants. So if I want to do those totals, this is only example, there are only 4 rows. In the business system, in SAP system, for the same material, you can have billions of lines. So if I want to know the total, if I want to do this total, I need a calculation engine so that it can perform the total and tell me how much is the total quantity available, how much is the total sales cost, how much is the total revenue that I have generated. So that calculation, some calculation has to be done considering billions of records. So that calculation engine, which was there in SAP ECC, that was not strong enough. Okay, but now with SAP HANA, SAP provided the powerful calculation engine which can perform the functions like sum, count, average very faster. Okay, you can say within milliseconds, or even if there is something lesser than milliseconds. Okay, so these calculations will be performed faster. So if I am a user, if I am a, let's say, a CEO of a company, and I want to know what is my total sales throughout the world. My company is using SAP, and I have 100 different branches all over the world. I have a company in US, I have a company in UK, I have a company in Germany, I have a company in India, and I want to know what is my total sales revenue for today. So as soon as I click on a report, it should show me this is my total sales for today, for this month, for this year, whatever calculations I want to perform. So that is only possible if your calculation engine is powerful. If your calculation engine is slow, if I'm clicking on show me the revenue, it is taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes to calculate that result, I will not be interested in those reports, right? So I want to make sure that the reports are available faster. And in order to make those reports faster, what I need to do is number one, I need to bring in memory computing, which means the data will be directly stored in RAM. I need to store the data in the compressed form, in the column-based form. I need the technology which supports all these requirements. And ultimately, I need a powerful calculation engine so that my calculations are working faster. Because of all these reasons, HANA is faster compared to the traditional databases. So if you go to traditional databases, they will not support in-memory computing. They will not support the column-based database. They are using the old technology. Maybe now they are upgrading, but if you compare HANA, when SAP HANA came into the picture and what were the technologies available at that time, whether the other database providers were using that technologies or not, the answer is no. And last one is the powerful calculation engine, due to which it takes a lot of time in the old databases to perform any calculation. But with HANA, you would be able to generate all these things faster compared to the traditional databases. Clear on this?
Yeah. This engine is part of HANA or like our S4 HANA? I think now as we are
No, this,
talking on HANA, I think it is part of HANA.
yeah. See, whatever I discussed today, this all points are related to HANA, irrespective of S4 HANA. I'm talking about HANA database today.
Understood.
Right? When I say HANA database, it has nothing to do whether the application is ECC or it is S4 HANA. Application can be anything. I'm talking about the HANA database. HANA database comes up with all these features. Clear? Any questions? So if you feel that this is very complicated, there are a lot of technical terms we introduced, No need to remember each and everything. Even if you remember this one liner, that is enough. Just for the explanation sake, so that you can understand it very clearly, I explained it a lot. But otherwise, if you are able to correlate what is in-memory computing, what is column-based data storage, if you just remember these few points that I have written, that are also enough. And believe me, even if you ask a person who is 10 years, 15 years of experience and who is uh, new to SAP S4 HANA and SAP HANA, even he will not be able to answer you these questions. Okay, because you are preparing directly on SAP S4 HANA, it is very important for you to understand this, because when you are going for any interviews in the market, they will definitely ask you, you understood HANA, can you tell me what is HANA? So you should be prepared with these answers. Otherwise, in the industry, there are not many people who are actually worried about this theoretical understanding of how HANA is faster and all. Ultimately, HANA is faster. That is what the companies want to achieve, right? Why it is faster? That is all technical thing. That you can even. There are many consultants who will say, no, I don't know. I'm a functional consultant. I don't know what is in-memory computing. I don't know what is column-based data storage. But I know, yes, if I implement HANA, my entire process will become faster. So that is completely fine if you are experienced consultant. But if you are a fresher and someone is asking you this question, you cannot answer it like this. That is the reason you should be prepared with these answers. Okay, any questions? Hope you understood why HANA is faster. What is making HANA a very powerful database? So 4 points are enough. Number 1, it is in memory. Number 2, it is column-based data storage. Number 3, it uses the latest hardware. And number 4, it is having a very powerful calculation engine. That's it. Okay. Now let's talk about SAP S4 HANA deployment options. What do you mean by deployment options? You must have heard about on-premise. So SAP S4 HANA on-premise, SAP S4 HANA cloud, and SAP S4 HANA hybrid. So I think hybrid is just as we discussed, it is just an English term which means combination of both, but these two are important. So either you are implementing SAP S4 HANA on-premise or you are implementing SAP S4 HANA cloud. So any idea what is the difference between on-premise and cloud? Forget about SAP. It is a general terminology, on-premise versus cloud. So what do you mean by cloud? Nowadays, cloud computing is becoming very popular. What is the reason for cloud computing?
I'll not have my infrastructure in my premise. I'll maybe it will be hired from somewhere.
Right,
Like we have like AWS and others.
right. Okay. So let me give the simple example so that you are able to understand. See, whenever you want to use any particular software, okay, let it be SAP or let it be any other software. Let's assume you want to go for the mailbox. Okay, I think this is something which everyone is using. You are using the mailbox, right? Mailbox means you have your own email ID. Everyone has email ID. Most of you have the email ID on Gmail or maybe Yahoo or Rediff. Is it something which you own or you are using this on cloud? Whoever is having Gmail ID, is it something, do you have the servers available for using that mail ID or you are getting the server from someone else? See, mail, whenever you want to use the mail functionality, mail also needs the server. All your mails, whatever you are sending, whatever you are receiving, it is getting stored in the database somewhere, right? Where exactly it is getting stored? Is it your own server or is it something which is provided to you by third party?
Third
Any
party
answer?
on the cloud.
Third party.
Third party, right? If you, let's take the same another example. You joined one organization, okay? You joined the organization, and on the day one itself, you got your mail ID, which is your first name dot last name at companyname.com. Right? Let's say you joined this goroconsulting.com. So what will happen? Your first name dot last name at goroconsulting.com. So this goroconsulting.com, for example, most of the companies, they are having this their own mailbox. So they are having their own servers which are physically present in their premises. Right? So if you want to create any new ID, they will just go there and they will create it. But everything, all the data, because it is secure data, you should not keep this data to the third party. And that is the reason we can set up our own mailbox. We can set up our own server, which will be storing this data in our own servers. So that example that I gave you, normally companies use their own server to set up these emails. That is example of on-premise. When you have your own server, having in your own premise, you are in complete control. You are the owner of that servers. Then it is on-premise. But when it comes to Gmail, Yahoo, Rediff Mail, these are all the cloud-based emails that we are using. We don't have the control on it, right? Can I go to Gmail and tell him that please restart the server? I am facing the slowness in the system. Can I do that? I cannot, because it is not my own system. It is being shared by thousands, millions, billions of users. So that is the example of cloud. Cloud means you are just using that software. You are just using that facility, but you are not the owner of that facility. When it comes to on-premise means you are a owner. You belong. You have that server with you. It is your own company's server which you are using. So you can decide when you want to take a downtime. You can decide when you want to have the maintenance. It is completely up to the customer. He can decide what I want to do with that system. Right? So in SAP terminologies also, whenever you are implementing SAP S4 HANA, there are two choices which will be given to you by SAP. Choice number one, SAP will tell you, you buy your own hardware from the certified vendors. We already discussed who are the certified vendors like HP, Dell, Fujitsu, IBM. So you will, if you want to implement SAP, you have to buy your own servers from the certified vendors. That is number one. That is option number one. But if I'm a small company, if I have only 50, 100 users, but my company is doing good and I want to start implementing SAP itself rather than implementing a small software. Okay, so in that case, I am okay to go ahead with implementing SAP, but the hardware cost is huge. If I'm a small company, I may not be able to spend that much amount on the hardware itself. So what I can do is I can go to SAP and I can tell the SAP that instead of buying the hardware, can I get the hardware also as on the subscription basis? Which means you not only provide me the software, but you also provide me the hardware. So you provide me the combination of hardware and software on the monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. Okay, so here what you will do, here you have to buy your own server and then you have to implement SAP in case of on-premise. But good thing is, this is your own server, you have a complete control, you can do whatever you want. But when it comes to the cloud, you can save the cost because you don't need to pay the upfront amount to buy the hardware, to buy the servers. But good thing is that you would be using this system on the subscription basis. So you just need to pay the monthly, quarterly, yearly fees, okay, and start using the SAP system. So hardware and software both will be provided by SAP itself. That is the basic difference between on-premise and on-cloud. So if you are going for SAP S4HANA on-premise, in case of on-premise, you would buy software licenses from SAP and implement on your own hardware server. This is on-premise. When it comes to cloud, you would buy or you would subscribe instead of buy, because here you can see even this one, you would see, but when you buy the software licenses, these are only for a particular term. So you would buy the software licenses from SAP and implement on your own hardware server. So you will buy your own hardware server. But in this case, you would subscribe monthly. Again, I'm just giving you options. It is not necessary that SAP will also give you this monthly, quarterly options. Normally, these options are yearly. And SAP will provide you hardware as well as software. So it is just like using a Gmail account. SAP will provide you the link. Go to this link, enter your user ID and password, and you will be able to use the SAP system. You can do your transactions there. You can generate your reportings directly from the cloud system itself. You don't need to buy any hardware. All those hardwares and all will be taken care by SAP itself. Okay, so we have SAP S4HANA on-premise. We have SAP S4HANA on cloud. Now, let's assume this is a big company. Okay, and they are having multiple SAP systems. Let's take an example of Reliance. Okay, Reliance is having one SAP system for India operations, and they are having another SAP system for, let's say, US operations. So in India, they are using on-premise. In US, they are using cloud. Okay, and they want to integrate this on-premise and cloud with each other. This combination, when you, in your company, if you are using some softwares who are in premise and some SAP systems which are on cloud, then you can say my combination is hybrid. This is one example. I can give you another good example. Let's assume your company is using SAP S4HANA on-premise system. But this SAP S4HANA on-premise system will have which modules? It will have MM, SD, FI, CO, EWM. These are all core modules which are part of SAP. But in addition to this, you want to use Ariba, which is only available on cloud. You want to use Hybris, you want to use success factors for your HR related things, recruitment and all. So success factors, Ariba, Hybris, these are all cloud-based technologies. They are not available on premise at all. So for MM, SD, FICO, you are using on premise, and for Ariba, Hybris, success factor, you are using cloud. So that is again a combination of cloud as well as on-premise, and that is the reason it can be called as SAP S4HANA hybrid approach. Clear?
How about the pros and cons between premise and cloud? I mean, process speed, accessibility, everything remains same, or will there be any cons there between these two?
No, see, definitely there are pros and cons in both. So simple. Normally what I do is normally I take an example of this is your own house. Let's say you are new in a city. Let's say you got a new job in Mumbai and you have two options. Option number one, you buy your own house. Okay. Option number two, you take a house on rent. So definitely there are pros and cons of both. If you buy your own house, number one, you need to pay upfront amount. Okay. But the good thing is that it is your own house. You can change the structure the way you want. You can change the color of your house. You can do whatever you want because it is your property. When it comes to the rented house, The good thing is you don't need to worry at all. You just need to pay the monthly charges, whatever monthly, quarterly, yearly charges you agree. Okay, but the problem is you would not be able to do anything. You will not be able to change anything in the house. You will not be able to change the color of your house. Okay, so it is like you have to adjust in whatever is pre-delivered by the third party. So in terms of SAP, same things applies. So if I give the example from the SAP point of view, if you are using on-premise system, number one, the problem is that there is an upfront cost involved for the hardware, but there are a lot of benefits. Benefit number one, it is your own system. You can do whatever you want. You can do the customizations. If you want, in SAP, we normally create a lot of custom processes, C processes. Okay, so those customized processes I can create as per my requirement in on-premise. When it comes to cloud, I cannot create the custom processes. I have to use the processes which are already provided by SAP. I cannot include my own custom processes. Okay, at the same time, the maintenance. Okay, so I will get a mail from SAP that the maintenance is scheduled on this particular date. I don't have the control to that. It is SAP who's taking care of the maintenance. Here, I can decide when I want to do the maintenance, when I want to do the downtime. This is all up to the customer to decide that whether I want to do the maintenance activity on which date, whether I want to do this maintenance activity on the nights or on the days. It is up to the customer. Here, it is up to the SAP. SAP will decide when the maintenance will be carried out. SAP will decide when the system will be down. Okay, those all things falls under SAP. And also, just understand one thing, it is not only hardware. If you are buying SAP S4HANA on-premise system, then in order to maintain that hardware, just buying the hardware is not enough. You need to maintain it also. So you need a team who would be responsible for the server maintenance. In case of cloud, you don't need to worry about that because you don't have the hardware. Hardware is being maintained by SAP itself. So in short, my recommendation would be if a customer is a big customer, okay, and if the customer is not happy with the standard functionalities which are provided by SAP, in that case, definitely go for on-premise. But if a customer is a small customer, they don't have that much budget to go for the hardware cost, even the team that they don't want to hire. So in that particular case, there is no other option. But only thing is they need to follow whatever is available in the standard product. You cannot make any modifications in the system. Okay, and if you are okay with that, then only you can go for cloud.
Yeah, why we cannot do customization in cloud? Means we
Cloud,
will be
Akshay, cloud is
your application only, na?
no, cloud is a shared system. Cloud is not something which is you are only using. For example, as I told you, Gmail. If I, sorry, there is some background noise. Yeah. So, for example, Gmail. Now, is it Gmail is only used by your organization or only by you, or it is being shared by billions of other users also? It is being shared, right? So if I make
Correct.
any change based on your request, what will happen? It may impact the other company.
Okay.
So I'll give one example. See, normally, if I buy the hardware, I can support up to 1,000 users. If I buy my own on-premise hardware, I can, at any point of time, my 1,000 users can work on that system. Now, when SAP will set up the cloud system, it has a capability of 1,000 different users who can log in. But my company is small. I only have 50 users. I have a requirement of 50 users. So SAP is not going to give me the dedicated client for that. That 50 users, my 50 users, there may be another company who is having 200 users. There may be third company who may be having 500 users. So all this 1,000 users are working on the same system which belongs to different company. So if I make any change based on the request of one company, that may impact the other company also, right?
Correct.
Even if it's private cloud?
No, private cloud is different. If it is a private cloud, then it is not called as S4HANA Cloud. When we are talking about SAP S4HANA Cloud, this is not a private cloud, this is a shared cloud. If it is private, then it would be on-premise system hosted by the third party.
Okay.
Is that a fourth kind, or is it the same as on-premise?
So don't get confused here with the private cloud.
Okay. So when we say for
If it is a
HANA,
private cloud, it is same as on-premise. You are getting full flexibility. Yeah, normally when we say SAP S4HANA Cloud, this is a cloud which is being shared by multiple customers. And that is the reason there is no flexibility to modify. There is no flexibility to change according to your own requirements. You have to use the standard best practices.
okay.
In private cloud,
Okay.
only thing is your infrastructure is on the cloud. Rest all control is with you.
Exactly. See, I don't want to confuse because there are many beginners here. That is the reason I am restricting this discussion to this much, but we have a topic. Once we complete our basic things, towards the end, we will be discussing these things in detail. But just to, since you asked, let me tell you one thing. Maybe if some of you are not able to understand, no need to worry about at this moment. Let's understand what is another option of cloud. See, here what I'm saying is, if you are going for SAP S4HANA on-premise, from SAP you are only purchasing the software. Hardware, it is your responsibility to manage. SAP is not responsible for your hardware. SAP is only responsible for the software if you are buying the on-premise license. On the other hand, if you are going for SAP S4HANA Cloud, SAP is providing you the hardware as well as software. Now I want the third option. Okay, I am a customer. If I'm going to SAP for the hardware, let's assume SAP is charging more for the hardware. So what I'll do, I will buy SAP S4HANA on-premise from SAP. Okay, SAP will tell you, you manage your own hardware. But again, I don't have the capability to buy my own hardware. So what should I do? I will go to AWS or I will go to Google Cloud. I will tell them I have my SAP S4HANA on-premise license, but I want to deploy on your hardware. So I'll pay you whatever is hardware cost, but I want to deploy this on-premise system on your hardware. This is just an example. So in this case, I am managing the hardware from third party, not from SAP directly. And that is the reason I can continue to use my SAP S4HANA on-premise system. So hardware is being provided by the third party. I am buying SAP S4HANA on-premise license. Since I am using SAP S4HANA on-premise, I don't need to worry about the changes. Whatever customs I want to write, I can do that easily in my S4HANA on-premise system. You got it now?
Yes.
Front. Okay. So these are different deployment options that SAP provides. We have a deployment option which is on-premise, on cloud. So these are the two. Hybrid is just a mix of both. So I gave you the example. You are implementing SAP S4HANA on-premise for the core business processes, but you are also using Ariba, Hybris, SuccessFactors, which are the cloud-based functionalities. So if you club both, if you club on-premise to your cloud applications, your system will become hybrid system. So hybrid is nothing but combination of on-premise and on cloud. Example, SAP S4HANA on-premise MMSD FICO can be used in integration with Ariba, Hybris, SuccessFactors, which are only available on cloud. So if you want to implement Ariba, if you want to implement Hybris, these are not available on premise at all. They are only available on cloud. So if you want to integrate this too, this option is called as SAP S4HANA Hybrid Combination. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. The next thing that we need to discuss is, I want to keep it simple because we already introduced a lot of technical terminologies today. What are the different type of projects in SAP S4HANA? Whenever you will be working on SAP S4HANA, what are the different types of projects that you will be working on? So first of all, there is an implementation project. Okay. Second is support project. Number 3 is rollout, and number 4 is development project. Okay. These are the 4 types of projects where whenever you are working on SAP, when you say I'm a SAP consultant, I'm working on SAP consulting, these are the 4 options at any point in time you would be working on. Number 1, implementation. Implementation means customer is implementing a new SAP S4HANA system. Okay, this customer is implementing a completely new SAP S4HANA system. So this is called as an implementation project. For example, those companies who are currently not using SAP, they are growing and they decided that now there is a need to use a better software. Okay, maybe they were using some third-party softwares, ERPs till now, and now they decided for our better reporting, we want to implement SAP S4HANA. So they will go for the implementation projects. This is called as an implementation project. Number 2 is support project. Support project means customer already implemented SAP S4HANA. See, whenever I'm saying S4HANA, maybe let's do one thing because this is common. It is not necessarily needs to be S4HANA. Let's talk about SAP itself. It is not necessary that implementation is only on S4HANA. So it is common for all SAP things. So implementation is customer is implementing a new SAP system, and support is customer already implemented SAP. It can be ECC, it can be S4HANA, it can be RP. So customer already implemented SAP and now wants support on day-to-day basis. Okay, so customer has already implemented SAP. Users are already doing the transactions. They are creating the invoices. They are making the payments. They are creating the sales orders, purchase orders. So in day-to-day activities, they may face some issues. Okay, they may be not able to process the transactions correctly, or they may be when they are trying to do the transaction, they are getting any error. So they are not the technical guys. They are not the consultants. So what they will do, they will raise a ticket. There will be the ticketing tool through which they will, or maybe just take a simple example, they will send you the mail. You are a consultant, they will send you the mail that I'm trying to do this transaction, but I'm getting this error. What should I do? So you as a support consultant, what is your responsibility? You will understand the problem. You will understand what exactly they are doing wrong, or if they are doing correctly, what exactly is wrong in the system. You will modify that, okay, and you will ask them to try once again. So ultimately, your objective is to help the business users to perform those business transactions. So that is called as a support project. Then the third kind of project is rollout. Okay, what do you mean by rollout? Rollout means, again, customer has already implemented. Customer already implemented SAP system. Okay, but now there is a requirement that they want to add a new plant or they want to add a new company. Let's take a simple example. Reliance has already implemented SAP system. Okay, but currently they created 4 companies or they created 4 plants. One plant in Bangalore, second plant in Hyderabad, third plant in Pune, and fourth plant in Mumbai. These are the 4 plants which are already available in SAP system for Reliance. Now, Reliance wants to open a new plant. Okay, they want to open the new plant in Kolkata. So this new plant has to be added in SAP. So this is called as a plant rollout. Okay, so customer already implemented system. Customer already implemented SAP system. Now they want to add a new plant or a company to existing system. This is called as rollout. So it can be a plant rollout. What is the example of plant rollout? Just now I gave you. If customer is already having plants in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and now they want to extend to Pune, for example. So this is an example of rollout projects where you are implementing.
Can't that be done as part of support only? Because it's just adding
No,
a
but
configuration.
as a project, it can be done, but it is normally from the naming convention point of view, it is called as a rollout. It may be possible that the same support team is doing this rollout, but it is treated as a separate project. See, let me give you one example. Now, support can be done by internal team or it can be done by external vendor. Okay, so for example, if this is Reliance is taking the support from, let's say, TCS, Accenture, okay, Infosys. So if they are taking the support, normally within support, rollouts are not included. So if you entered in the agreement with Infosys, if you entered in the agreement with Accenture, that you will support them on day-to-day basis, it will not include the rollout because rollout is considered as a separate project. For rollout, there has to be the separate project created and you may hire a separate contractor, a separate company to do this rollout. But if it is an internal, let's say your support team is internal team. Okay, same Reliance is having their own internal team. In that case, they will not worry whether it is a separate project or the same project, right? Because ultimately the team is responsible for all the support which is required by the internal organization. And that is the reason in that you will not be realizing that this is a separate project. But actually speaking, when it comes to the industry, rollout is treated as a separate project. It is not part of the regular support. Saurabh, I hope you got the answer.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, so this is called as rollout. And the last project, which is called as development project. Development project means customer again is already using SAP. Customer already implemented SAP system. Now they want change some functionality, some standard functionality. They are not happy with the standard functionality which comes with SAP. So they want to modify the standard functionality and develop their own functionality. Okay, so many times you will find that in many big organizations who are using SAP, there is a completely separate team for development. They are completely working on new change requests which are being done by the business, that business is not happy with the standard functionality. They want to change this particular functionality in the system. So that is called as a development project. Okay, in the development project, the functional consultant's responsibility is to understand what change is required, okay, what change is required by the customer, and you have to explain this change to the ABAP team. ABAP team is normally responsible for making these changes. So there is a strong integration required between, or strong communication is required between the functional consultants and the ABAP consultants when you are working on the development project. Okay, so these are the main 4 kind of projects. Implementation, where customer is implementing a new SAP system. So maybe customer was not using SAP at all. This is the first time customer is implementing, or even a customer can re-implement also, which means customer was already using SAP, but due to some reasons he wants to re-implement because some of the functionalities were not implemented properly earlier. So he's re-implementing. Second is support, which is day-to-day activity. When the customer is already using SAP system, they will get some issues on day-to-day basis. So that would be resolved during the support project. Then you have a rollout, where a customer is opening a new branch, a customer is opening the new legal entity, and that needs to be bring in the SAP system. Finally, you have a development project. In the development project, you are responsible to understand the business requirements from your customer, explain that change requirement to your ABAPer. ABAPer will make the changes. Again, you will test it, and then you will give to the business users to verify whether it is properly developed or not. Okay, so again, just remember whatever we are discussing, this is very high level. What will be happening in the implementation project, what would be happening in the support project, what will happen in the rollout project, all these things we are going to discuss in detail practically in the system also. Okay, so as of now, I'm just giving you the brief. So I know today's session was a little bit too technical, but the thing is I could have avoided it. I was avoiding this previously in my previous batches. But then when you are facing the interviews, and if these basic questions are being asked to you in the interviews, then definitely you will realize, no, this is also very important and we should understand all these things in detail. And that is the reason I included this, because this is something which you normally learn when you start working on the projects. Our main focus is to learn the functionalities, what is available in what is available in SD. But before I jump onto those functionalities, these are some basic things that you should know when you start working on any SAP projects. That is the reason over this next 2-3 more sessions, I'll be only discussing this basic parts before I jump onto the standard business processes in SD, FICO in detail. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I have one question.
SAP migration is also one type of project, we can include here. It is
Yes, so migration, I will come to you. This migration is actually part of implementation. I will talk about that. Maybe I can write one more thing here. Let's talk about upgradation. Thanks for raising this. Upgradation means if you want, again, customer is already using SAP. Let's say customer is using currently customer is using SAP S4 HANA 1709, which was released 2 years back, and now they want to upgrade to 1909. So this is called as an upgradation project. Another project which you said just now, migration, or it is called as conversion. Conversion project is, I was about to include this in this implementation. In the next session, we are going to talk about SAP Activate, where I'll explain you what exactly is this conversion in detail. But just to complete this list, conversion project is when customer wants to upgrade or wants to upgrade itself, upgrade from ECC, from SAP R3 or ECC to SAP S4 HANA. So if a customer is currently using old SAP products, SAP R3 or SAP ECC, and now they want to upgrade to S4 HANA, This kind of project is called as a conversion project. To be very technical, it is called as a system conversion project. Okay, Robbie, you got the answer?
Yes.
Vikram, I have a question.
Yeah, Raj.
So you were mentioning again, like when will you tell us the core functionality like FICO?
It will be after maybe another 2 sessions I need to complete this concepts, and then we will be discussing
Okay.
individual functionality in detail.
Okay, and we'll get S4 access at that time, is it?
Yeah, I can give it to you now itself, but the thing is, there is no point. We have still not started anything in the SAP system, right? So you'll not be able to do anything as of now.
No, I'm just asking if it's possible. I can get, yeah. Or
If
it's
you
okay.
want, I
No,
can.
yeah,
See,
if
Raj,
possible, I can play around if I want. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, Vikram.
Sir, sir, I have a question. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir, actually, I have a question on cloud that we can use cloud within the country or out of the country also. Means, can I use the out of the country clouds also? Means, there's
Out
question
of
about
country? What do you mean by out of country cloud?
means the another country. Means, can we use the cloud from the another country also? Means, can I
Yes.
save my
I
data?
think geographically from anywhere you can use it. That's I
Yes.
think.
There is no problem in that. Only thing is that GDPR is in place now. So with this GDPR, there is some restriction that what data can go out of your country, but that is taken care by the cloud service provider. We don't need to worry about that. So example, if see when SAP provides you the cloud system, they will provide you, let's say they provided the hardware which is located in Germany. Okay, just for example, they provided you the hardware which is located in Germany, and you are trying to access that data, you are trying to access that system from here, and you are storing the data which is related to your own employees, which are Indian employees, and you are storing that data in the system which is stored in Germany. So there are some GDPR rules which says that your data should not be stored out of your country, and that is the reason SAP has already taken care of it, and they will provide you the server which is located within your own country itself. But that is something which will be taken care by SAP. We don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
I had a different kind of questions.
Yeah.
So when it comes to IT cost, SAP cost regarding, let's say, point one and point two, option one and option two, would how would it get? How would the profile between capex and opex change between option one and option two?
See, when it comes to option one, this is your capex because you are buying the server. Okay, when you are buying the server, it would be your capex because you need to consider it as your asset, and whatever depreciation is calculated on the monthly basis, that you have to book as a depreciation charges. When it comes to cloud, because it is not your asset, it is a subscription fees that you are paying, so it is your operational expenses, so there is no asset here. It would be all considered as an expense for that particular month.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
And the license
Vikram,
cost for on-premise is, did you say that that's treated like a depreciation, or does that become an
No.
OPEX month on month?
Yeah, it will become OPEX on month. See, when we talk about SAP S4 HANA on premise, there are two components. One is software cost, okay, which is OPEX, because you are paying on monthly or yearly basis. So that is a expenditure. Sorry, it is an expense. It is not something which you are utilizing for throughout the years. But when it comes to the hardware cost, this hardware you cannot book it as a OPEX, because the hardware, according to the different legal requirements, hardware is considered as a asset, maybe 3 years, 5 years. So based on the useful life of the asset, the depreciation will be calculated and that would be booked every month.
Understood. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, this is Iqbal here.
Yeah.
So I have a client, so he's using ECC,
Mhm.
ECC, HP is 6.7 or 7.1, okay, whatever it may be. Now my client want to move to S4 HANA. So as a
Mhm.
functional consultant, which will be the best option? Whether we can migrate from S4 HANA ECC to S4 HANA or greenfield implementation, which will be the best option?
So, see, there is no right straightforward answer to this. There are a lot of things which a customer needs to understand before he decides whether he want to go for a new implementation or he want to go for the system conversion. So these are the topics, Iqbal. If you see the course content, these are the topics that we are going to discuss towards the end of the course. Because if I explain you these things now, you don't know the functionalities of SAP till now. How will you understand which functionalities are supported, which functionalities are not supported? So definitely, I'll come back to you on this question. Once we complete all our FICO, SD related tasks, then we will come to this point.
Yeah, done.
Answer your question. Just to answer your question, there is no straightforward answer that my customer should go for system conversion or my customer should go for new implementation. There are a lot of factors. We need to understand these factors. We need to communicate these factors to the client, and then client will be able to take the informed decision.
Uh,
Yeah, okay.
Vikram, I just
Thank you.
want to Vikram, I just want to share with you, just on the on-premise and the cloud. Basically, the capex is more on on-premise initially, but then the operating cost catches up over a period of time. So it is almost the same, with my experience at least. I have seen.
So you are saying that,
Yeah.
sorry, can you come again? You are saying about
So
the
the
cost. So you mean to say
yeah,
cost is almost same.
yeah, over a period of time, the cloud will catch up. You see, it depends on how many users you have and how many things they bring it up. Because any changes, it's all with SAP. So you don't have any change. You have to raise a ticket and send it to them. Any announcement, you pay triple the money. So it catches up over a period of time. In a period of 3 years, the operation cost catches up to the capex. To my experience, at least, I've seen that.
Yes. No, that actually depends on lot of factors, because you need to, it is a cost benefit analysis that you have to do. So what is the cost of cloud? Maybe initially, because this is a new product, the cloud services are provided at low cost. So we need to understand what is my total cost of ownership if I go with this option, and what is my total cost of ownership if I go with this option, and I have to validate the results for next 5 years, 10 years down the line, where I'm getting more benefit.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what,
not
based on
only
the experience I'm telling you, it catches up.
yeah,
Yeah.
not only money wise,
I've
not
done a
only
cost-based analysis. That's how I know that, Vikram. Yeah, that's what. Just want to share that to you. That's all.
yeah, you're right.
Regarding the database again on HANA, if there are if for a certain client, if there is a satellite system, let's say for sales and distribution, they are using Salesforce. That's the target system architecture. So Salesforce is the CRM application, and which will take care of the sales and distribution cycle, which is order management. So the data that comes out of or that gets created by Salesforce, would the data be uh, ingested in HANA, or would that be managed somewhere else?
So see, there can be multiple different interfaces. This is called as interface. So if you are using Salesforce, this is not the part of the standard SAP, right? Salesforce is a completely different system. So if you want to bring the data from the Salesforce to SAP, You have to create the interface, right? And if you are creating the interface and if your SAP system is using HANA database, obviously the data will come into the HANA itself. Right, Rohit?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So whatever data comes to SAP, that will reside in HANA. Whatever data is outside SAP, there can be different databases which you can use for supporting those other applications.
No, so what I was trying to understand is, let's say if I'm picking the example was obviously order to cash. So when let's say customer service is doing order processing in Salesforce, it goes in directly into FI after that, or do you need to, and the interface that you need to build is from, which is the normal interface between SAP S4 to HANA, or do you need to build an interface between Salesforce and HANA?
No. See, it totally depends upon the business requirement. All these solutions are possible. I'll give you one example. Let's say you are saying you are doing the order management in Salesforce. Okay. My question is, do you want to replicate the order management in SD module of SAP, or you don't want to bring into SD module, you directly want to do the financial postings from SAP? So this is a question that you need to ask the customer. If a customer says, I already processed the order in my Salesforce and I don't want to bring this in SD again in SAP, I want to directly book the accounting entries in SAP. So your interface will get connected from Salesforce to SAP finance module. But if your customer says, no, even if I created the order in the Salesforce, but I want to trigger this in SD module of SAP, then your interface will be between the Salesforce and the SAP SD module. Because interface is something which we are developing. There is no standard interface. We are delivering the interface, and whenever you are delivering the interface, you need to know how the data will flow from one application to another application. Where you want to flow that data, that is up to the customer how he wants to create this interface.
Thanks, Ratan.
Right, Rohit? Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we already discussed a lot of things. I don't want to go further today. Maybe tomorrow we will talk about SAP SAP methodology, and we will compare it with the new methodology that SAP came up with, that is SAP Activate. Okay, so tomorrow's session is going to be very interesting, and I'll make sure that it is not very technical. It would be very easy for you all of guys to understand, and at the same time, there are many questions which are asked during the interviews. At least if you are a beginner, there will be a lot of questions asked on what is the methodology, what are the different phases in the methodologies. So just make sure that you attend tomorrow's session. Okay, so any questions before we close today?
It was a good session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you.
Yeah.